Martin, I got to know the second phrase. Come on, stick with the program. All the time. God is good all the time. I don't know if we're good all the time. But in any event, I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you for being here. You know, expungements are really critically important. And I want to thank Rahat, Chatha, our general counsel. I want to thank Damon Watson, Senior Director of Legal Services, because what this is about is giving an individual a step forward and not having you carry the burden of your engagement in the criminal justice system. And Damon and Rahat are going to talk about why this is so important. Whether you're focusing on employment, so often your background check has an impact on your employability, and that's why expungements are important. Allows an individual to legally state in most circumstances that the offense did not occur, giving you a fair and full opportunity at an employment. Also, housing stability. Landlords may not legally be able to do that, but often what we've seen is that applicants with criminal records, expungements remove that barrier and allows an individual to secure stable, safe housing. Also, access to educational and professional licenses. Within the Attorney General's office is a division of licensing. And so what happens is many people are restricted. I know that I've worked with many individuals. They've done the homework, they've done the schoolwork, they apply to the license, it's denied because of their criminal background. And what happens is clearing the record reopens pathways, reopens eligibility. And then again, not only does it restore the dignity, and as it says, you know, we all fall down, but we get up in that great spiritual, but it also strengthens families and communities. Because when people can get employment, housing stabilities, your family improves, the life of your children improves, both economically and socially. So again, I just want to say thank you for each and every one of you for being here. Rahat's going to also recognize the corporations that supported this endeavor and particularly the fund that generously gave to us. So that's why we have these 2-day-old bagels, croissants. I noticed we didn't get any jelly, but that's all right. But I'm grateful for whatever. But on a serious note, I just want to say thank you to Rahat, Chatha. I want to say thank you to Damon. I want to say thank you to all, and Damon's going to recognize his staff that works cooperatively in different sites throughout the state of New Jersey. But most importantly, I want to say thank you to you for taking the time on a Friday morning to move forward, to seek that new beginning, to have that clean slate. So not only in terms of your mind and your heart and your soul, have you a new beginning filled with positive, good energy, but God willing, we're helping you to travel that road with the state of New Jersey and the criminal justice system. And now it's my great honor. She does so much, and she's a source of thoughtful leadership, great balance, and great judgment. Not only my friend, but I'm really proud to introduce our General Counsel, Rahat Chatha. Rahat.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. So thank you all very much for being here. We're very excited to host another one of our expungement clinics and seminars. And it's all thanks to a generous grant given to the agency by the Holthus Foundation. So we're very thankful to that foundation that we're even able to do this. And again, thank you all so much for being here. So I'm going to keep this quick so that Damon can begin the presentation portion of the seminar here today so that you guys can get all the necessary information that you're looking for. But as far as the agency is concerned, I wear a few hats, but importantly for today, I manage a team of legal service coordinators. You see them standing there at the wall there. And what the team does is that they provide a myriad of services to our program participants, and that includes municipal court warrant recalls and fine waivers, pro se criminal record expungements. Thank you. Which is, why we're here today. suspended driver license clearance, recovery of birth certificates and social security cards, referral to pro bono legal assistance. So that's sort of a snapshot of what it is that the team helps our program participants do. Now, as far as expungements are concerned, since it was in 2021 when New Jersey launched its online expungement portal, completely revamped the expungement process in the state. And since then, as an agency, we have been very serious with helping our program participants submit pro se expungement applications in situations where you qualify. And Damon will go into more detail of, what are the necessary qualifiers. Excuse me. And we have been very focused on expungement specifically because, as Governor McGreevey mentioned, it is a very big hurdle to getting the employment that many of you would like to have. So I just wanted to go through quickly some of our successes within the legal department, just addressing, some of the documents and also the expungements that we've been able to obtain, and all thanks to, again, the team that's standing before you here today. So since we started to record our numbers here, we have helped almost 40,000 of our program participants. For those almost 40,000 folks, we have obtained over 3,500 MVC IDs that we've funded. We obtained 243 MVC motor vehicle commission permits. We obtained almost 7,000 birth certificates. We funded the restoration of 546 registrations. We funded the restoration of over 2,500 licenses. We have helped to recall over 3,400 municipal court warrants. Attached to the warrants is bail. So we have helped to revoke over $3.2 million in bail, just completely wiped out. We have helped to wipe out over $3.1 million in municipal court fines. So those are fines that are attached to whatever municipal court charge that our participants may have had, and we have worked with the municipal courts to completely wipe all of that out. Between the number of the amount in bail revoked and municipal court fines vacated, we're over $6.3 million in fines and bail, just completely wiped out. Now, as far as expungements is concerned, we have successfully obtained 91 clean slate expungements and 79 regular expungements, so almost 200 criminal backgrounds completely cleared, and almost 600 marijuana expungements all cleared. So that's essentially the numbers that we're seeing with the hard work that the team is doing here, and you all will have an opportunity to meet with the team to go over what your particular situation is. But I'm not going to belabor my time here anymore. I just want to bring Damon on and he can go into more detail on it. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. How's everyone doing? Oh, hang on, I gotta turn this thing on. How's everyone? Whoa, can everyone hear me? Yeah. Okay, good. Before I get into who I am and what I do and what we do, I wanted you to meet the team. So everybody that's here, if you stay, so don't leave, when I'm done with my presentation, we're gonna have lunch, and then we're gonna call you guys 3 or 4 at a time to go into that room over there. And if you are a program participant, if you're currently enrolled in a New Jersey Reentry Corporation site, you're gonna sit with one of the legal services coordinators. I know my voice is louder, but you're gonna sit with one of the coordinators, and they're going to see if you're eligible for expungement, and if it's not too complicated, because sometimes it gets complicated. Y'all know that, right? So if it's not too complicated, we might be able to get it filed right now. But if it is, we're going to put a pin in it and figure out what we need to solve before we file the whole thing and then get it filed. Now, if you're not currently enrolled, so that means that you have never gone through our orientation, you're still going to be able to sit with one of the team members. They're going to check to see if you're eligible for an expungement. And if you are, then we're going to make a referral for you to come to one of our orientation weeks, get you properly enrolled so that our funding will allow us to perform services for you, and then we'll take care of your expungement. So for some of you, it might be a multiple day thing. But before I get into me and everything else, I want you to meet each of the team members. This is the legal services team of New Jersey Reentry, and they're just going to come up one at a time. Just give them their name, where they are situated, what county they work in, and just a little bit about themselves real quick.
How are you guys doing today? My name is Zachary Sperling. I've been working at Reentry for, actually this is my 3-year anniversary at the end of the month, so been here for a while. I cover Middlesex, Mercer, Somerset, Warren, Hunterdon, basically any southern county that's we don't have an office at, they end up coming to me, and I also cover all the veterans for the state. So if you're in any of those counties, you'll be working with me, and I'm happy to help you guys. So.
How you doing? Francis Ryan. I'm at the Newark office, and I just started.
Yeah, Francis is brand new. So.
Good morning. I'm Robin Brown. I'm the legal services coordinator at in Elizabeth for Union County. I recognize some faces, so hi, Union County.
And I'm the oldest and I'm the last. I'm Lewis. I'm the legal services coordinator in Neptune, which is Monmouth and covering Ocean as well. I've been with Reentry for 3.5 years, and every day is a benefit to me because of the number of people I can serve. So it's a gift. And I welcome you all here, and I hope we can help you. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Nobody is Hudson County?
So you guys you don't need to hang out there the whole time. So that's me. My name is Damon Watson. I'm the Senior Director of Legal Services at New Jersey Reentry. My main job is that I'm sort of the team captain for these guys. And I help support our boss, Rahat, our Chief Legal Officer, who you've already met. But I also manage Hudson County, and I do legal services for Passaic County and Bergen County, which I help, with our institutional team doing that stuff. So I'm the Hudson County guy, so that's me. Now, at New Jersey Reentry Corporation, we've been around since about 2014. We were originally founded as a nonprofit to help folks that have been incarcerated remove the employment barriers that they face when they reenter their communities. Now, that mission has grown since the time that we started. So instead of just serving folks that have been locked up, we also serve people that are in addiction treatment, and we serve people that have been veterans, as Zach mentioned previously. And Rahat mentioned already that in the time that we've been around, we've touched the lives of almost 40,000 people. But today, we're going to talk about one of them. We're going to talk about me. So before I do that, I have a question that I want to serve up. When you look at me, I need to know what you see. Now, here's the thing. I've been a TEDx speaker. I did TEDx Jersey City last year, and I have one of the official backpacks, which I will give to anyone who gives me either the most accurate or the most hilarious response to that question. So, yes.
Pee Wee Herman.
Maybe. All right. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Mr. Guns Drug Addict.
Anyone else? Y'all already know me or something? Anyone else?
You look like a person in show business.
Anyone else?
Godfather.
Okay, so I'm gonna give it to the what?
Just a white guy with a suit and tie.
That's the most hilarious. You're about to find out why. Okay.
You saw this come to me with that bag.
But
He
he
started walking over here, he was late.
But he called me a white guy in a suit, and boy, you're gonna be surprised. So check it out. My name's Damon Watson, man. So, anyways, right? Okay, so that's what you see. Now, a lot of other people see, nerd, geek, like an accountant, stuffed shirt, dork. I would have not accepted. That's out of bounds, right? But let me tell you a little bit about me and tell you about the things that you don't see. So, I was born to a lot of childhood trauma, apparently. My father was one of the first African-American men in the country to hold both a law degree and a medical degree. That's why your answer was hilarious. Not a white guy, but I just look like it, right? So when you take a light-skinned man from Alabama and a Creole woman from Louisiana and you mix them all together, you get something that looks a little bit like this. But here's the thing. Even though my dad was very accomplished and my mother was actually a school teacher and a paralegal, he was a severe drug addict, and he used to beat my mom, sometimes in front of the kids. I had 2 brothers. My mom, likely as a result of her family history and also the abuse that my dad put on her, was a severe alcoholic. So, childhood trauma, right? Now, over time, I managed to emerge from the trauma, had a pretty good start to my life, right? Like I got through a good high school. I ended up going to Princeton University. Then I ended up going to Harvard Law School. Then I ended up getting married to my law school sweetheart, I guess you can call her that. We had a couple of kids. I started a great job at a big firm in Los Angeles where I'm from. And then my life totally fell apart, right? First, over about a 6-year period, I lost 6 family members. My mother and father, lost them both. Lost 2 grandmothers, lost a grandfather, lost an aunt. I carried a lot of caskets. I cremated my mom. And when all that's going on, and you're in a marriage that's not quite right, what do you think happened? Nothing good, right? So a lot of y'all said some accurate things, but of course this one was the most hilarious. But addiction, depression, divorce, job loss, custody loss, homelessness, Skid Row, all of that. I was depressed, addicted, homeless felon, on Skid Row. Nope. What's up there now? One day when I was homeless and high, got hit by a car, right? Just wandering around, crossing against the light, bam! And that happened. 9 staples. I used to live in this tent on Skid Row, and that was when I had a big tent, right? At some point, the police came, they tore that one down, and I had to downsize, move somewhere else to Skid Row. But that was literally where I was. I was a complete and total mess, right? Nothing was going right. I was all the way at the bottom. How many of you feel like you've been at the bottom, right? The bottom. So when you're at the bottom, I mean, shooting meth in a tent on Skid Row, I think that's pretty close, right? I think that qualifies, right? So when you're down there, you got a choice to make. It's a very important choice. You can stay down there, and you're probably going to die, right? I saw it happen on Skid Row or wherever your homeless journey takes you. Or you can make a decision that you're going to bounce back and you're going to get out of the situation and you're going to rebuild your life, which is more or less what I did. But it all started with a decision that I hope all of you are going to make today, if you haven't made it already, that I refuse to be as bad as the last worst thing that I did. That's not who I am. It's who I was, but it isn't who I am, even though it's a part of me. So I bounced back. I started at the bottom. I went from Princeton to prison. That was on the way down. Harvard to homeless, further on the way down. And just to give you some context, that's the full picture. The other guy in that picture, so still a good friend of mine, he's a judge on the Massachusetts Court of Appeal. So yeah, we kind of did that, right? We diverged a little bit. But our 30th law school reunion is next month. And he called me up. He's like, hey, I showed your TED talk to the judges, and the chief judge wants you to come up and do your speech for the whole panel of judges. We'll have a brown bag lunch. I'm like, all right, I'm in. So redemption has started at this point. And I've been able to do some really great things. And these things I tell you because I want you to understand that no matter where you are in your journey right now, there's always a way up, there's always a way back, and there's always a great life available to you like this. I went from state custody to 3 state championships in multisport. Let me explain. I found triathlon recently. I actually found cycling first, then I got locked up, and then I found triathlon. And in the time that I've been doing triathlon, I've won New Jersey State Championship twice, for aquabike, which is actually triathlon without the running, which I'm much better at because I hate running. And I'm 54 years old, right? These knees aren't going to last forever. And I also won Pennsylvania. So there was that. Then there's this. That's my new branding, or what is going on with this thing? Sorry, guys. I don't know how that happened. Give me a second. All right. That is really strange, but technology is nonsense. There we go. All right. Sorry about that, y'all. So I went literally from being behind iron bars to being an Ironman. In July of 2024, I trained for and I finished the Lake Placid Ironman, which, if anybody knows anything about Ironman, it's like one of the hardest ones. Now, this next slide, I'm only going to show it to you because I asked AI to do some funky things and it actually was hilarious. I'm not going to use that for the branding. I think it looks pretty corny, but I just wanted to show it to you guys anyway because it's kind of funny. But it didn't stop there. When you get locked up, how do you feel? I mean, I know that that's a big question and there's a lot of answers, but do you feel like the country kind of forgot about you? Yeah. Right? Especially if you've been in, I was only in 20 months, right? I was in, basically I did 10 months for each of my cool Ivy League degrees, right? But a lot of the folks I helped have been down for 30, one of our guys I work with been down 38 years, right? So, I mean, every bit of time that you do behind bars is a lot of time. I know that. I mean, like I was in for 30 days the first time. It felt like an eternity, right? But you feel like they don't want you, right? You feel like the country turned its back on you, just kind of threw you away somewhere. I felt that way. So when I got out the first time, I couldn't even vote, but I can vote now. You know, this law's changed, thinking has changed. But for me, that wasn't enough. Like I wanted to do something else. I really wanted to feel like I was part of the country again. So I went and I qualified for Team USA, which means that this September, I'll get to go to Spain and I get to compete in the World Championships of Aquabike. And instead of my inmate firefighter orange, I'll get to wear Team USA road white and blue. And so for me, that's redemption. But I want you all to take from this, because triathlon, look, I tell people triathlon's not for everybody, but I do believe it's for anybody, right? Because there's nothing special about me that enabled me to do that. I just wanted it. But there are things and entities and activities in this world that don't give a rat's ass about your record. Multisport was one of them for me. That community has embraced me so strongly. Peep this. So I decided that I wanted to be a USA Triathlon Foundation ambassador for 2026. They sent out an email blast to all USA Triathlon members, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I kind of want to do that. So I filled out the application. What do you think I wrote about in the essay? All of this, right? I said, yo, I was a drug addict, I was depressed, I lived on Skid Row, I was a felon, but multisport gave me so much, I'd love to represent it, and I'm an ambassador now. They don't care. And that's actually not fair. They care, but they believe in me, and they've embraced it. And so the point I'm trying to make about that is belief. How many of you at some point along your journey just kind of maybe feel like you stop believing in yourself, right? You just get so down. Yeah. I mean, I know it's more than just that. Like, I mean, me for sure, right? For sure. Because you have to believe in yourself. You must. It is a required ingredient of other people believing in you, because if you don't believe in yourself, right? Why should anyone else believe in you? You're the best authority on you. Now, I know that I just went through all this cool stuff I did, and a lot of people sometimes feel like, man, why are you bragging? Well, you know what? Don't forget, I lived in a tent, right? I think I have bragging rights. I think I can get up and brag about this stuff, but I want y'all to embrace things in your life that you can brag about too. For me, it was all this. Now, I talked about belief. For this to work, you have to believe in yourself, and that's going to invite other people to believe in you. And when people come into our program, and I do my initial talk, and if belief comes up, I say, look, you got to believe in yourself, because if you do that, the very first person that's going to believe in you is me, or Lewis, or Zach, or Robin, right, or Francis, or Rahat, or anybody in this program. And pretty soon, you're You're going to have a collection of people believing you're going to have a whole surplus. Now, for me, one of the people that believed in me along the way, and this was very important, was my wife, Gigi. She married me for better or for worse, but before we got married, it got much, much worse. Let me just tell you a little bit about that. So we've been dating for, I don't know, a couple months, and she looks at me and she's like, tell me something about yourself you're ashamed of. That, like, not a lot of people know. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I don't know if you're ready for all that, right? There's a lot. She goes, try me. How many of you feel like you've never really had a fully honest relationship, right? Like, at that point, I don't think I had. My relationship's always when I cheated on somebody, or they had cheated on me, or I lied about this. I said, you know what? She's giving me an opportunity to have an honest relationship. I'm going to take it. So I just emptied the tank, right? Depression, addiction, felonies, skid row, tent, meth, blah, all of it. And she just looked at me. She's like, is there anything else? I'm like, man, I'm so lucky. But for this to work, in addition to belief, we have to follow a certain rule. This is a really important one. The rule is, there's all this bad stuff that's happened to us, right? A lot of it we brought on ourselves. Some of it we didn't have any control over. But all of it is happening for us, not to us. That's key, because that way of thinking helps you see the good and the bad. And look, if you come to New Jersey Reentry, you don't come here because your life's going great, right? You don't. There's a lot of bad. I know it. I mean, I've been here since the pandemic. I'm in my 5.5-year mark just about now. I've been here for a long time. And I've talked to thousands of y'all. And I've heard things, man, sometimes I cry when I hear some of the things that y'all have gone through, So when I went to jail, I want to show you something. So actually, I went to jail twice. Spent 9 months in LA County Jail. Who knows anything about LA County Jail? What do you know? It's real. It's real, right? This square somehow survived. I didn't even have to fight. Some dude fired on me, hit me in the chest, right? Dude next to me was like, man, you gonna take that? I'm like, he hits like a baby, right? He did. It didn't really hurt. I don't want to catch extra time for whooping his ass. I didn't have to fight. It's weird. I wasn't trying to get out of it, but seriously, I wasn't about to catch time for that, right? I'm not looking to beat anybody up. But when I went to jail, I was an inmate firefighter, got out in 9 months, get out, try to get a job. We all know what that's like, right? I had a criminal record. I had fraud on my record, check fraud, right? Identity theft, that sort of stuff. That's the sort of crime that you commit when you're trying to make money for drugs in a hotel or a motel. That's just what you do. That's how it happens, right? So I had that. I couldn't get a job at Home Depot. I couldn't get a job at Target. I couldn't get a job at a call center. I got offers, but California's a ban-the-box state. You all know what that means. You've heard that phrase, ban-the-box. It means that box that used to be on applications that said, check here if you've been convicted of a felony, they can't ask that on the application. They can't ask you in the interview. But if you get the job offer, that's when they're allowed to run your background. And that's when I get that phone call that says, sorry, chief, no dice, right? And I don't have a job. So what happens? I rescind it, right? I got caught up, found this dude approached me. He's like, you clean up kind of right. Like, it's funny, when he said that, every time I've been in jail, somebody manages to tell me, man, you're not really jail material. I'm like, thank you, I think, because I know they weren't being nice when they said it, but, that's what they said. But this guy gets me involved in this thing. Turns out the little thing that he had me do was part of a big conspiracy. Big conspiracy. My bail was $2 million when they came and extradited me from New York. $2 million. It was like a nightmare. But turns out I'd already fixed my life, right? I had already done good. I'd already been on the right path. And so the prosecutor was like, all right, we don't want to jack up your life too much. Gave me 11 months and I came home. But here's why I tell you all this. I had to find the good in being taken out of the life I created for myself and sent back to California, back to jail in San Bernardino County, which is not even, it's like a lesser, redheaded stepchild county of Los Angeles. And I'm out there for 11 months and I got to figure out what's good about it. Here's why. So first, see that picture, 2018? I had doing well. I fixed my life. I'd gotten out of jail in LA. I came to the East Coast. I was working for a paralegal who believed in me, right? He knew I had a record, but he liked me. He thought that I was trying to get my life together, but I wasn't in great shape. So I was like, well, all right, I'm going to join a bike club. I joined Major Taylor Cycling Club in New Jersey, right? It's pretty much an all-black cycling club. Major Taylor was the second African-American to win a world title. It's back in the 1800s. Anyways, you can see from the photos, I got in shape. But 2 weeks after that photo, New York State troopers came to my work. 4 cars, 8 people deep, right? Plain clothes. We have a warrant for your arrest, San Bernardino, gone. Now, I went all the way back to jail, but what happens in jail if I got fit on a bike? I don't have a bike, right? I don't have any kind of control over anything. I had my Fitness Pal to count calories. Y'all know what that is? That app, it's a calorie counting app, right? So what I do, I started running. Now, you know the difference. I know you all know the difference between jail and prison. Like prison, you're intended to be housed there. You know, they have resources and you can buy all kinds of shoes from the commissary. But jail, no, right? Jail, that's the San Bernardino County special. Those are the shoes that I ran Lake Placid Ironman in, Hoka Carbon Sol Cielo X2. But instead, I got the Bob Barker Fubar Orange Jail Slider Special. And I'm running in those. And for those of you who are thinking Bob Barker, right? Is that the same? Yes, it is. Bob Barker owns a jail outfitting company. It's crazy. In LA, we wear blues, and they call it Barker Blues. That's what they are. So there was that. Even after I upgraded to the Bob Barker W72 Clear Sole, when my girl put money on my books, and I know it says leather upper. That ain't leather. It was I don't know what it was. And the clear sole is for security. Okay, whatever. But that's what I was running in. And I was happy that I was able to do that because even though I had blisters on my feet, even though it hurt so much. Even my wife reminded me the other day, like, you came home injured. You had to like tape up and stuff. And yeah, I was messed up. But if I don't start running in jail, you know what I don't have? I don't have triathlon. I don't have Ironman. I don't have Team USA. I don't have any of that. God sent me to jail to run, right? So that I could do something better with my life. So I did that. Not only, I mean, look at this. When I said my Fitness Pal, I had to keep track of my calories. Because what do they feed you in jail? All kinds of starchy nonsense, right? Every now and then you might get the chicken patty, or you might get, but you got to stay away from the mac and cheese. You really can't starve those peanut butter and jelly sandwiches that they give you every time you go to court. Every time. So I called my wife. I said, honey, I need you to read me the calories for all these different things that they serve us here. And I kept track of everything I ate. These are habits I built in jail that made a great life available to me later. It helped me stay organized. It helped me stay focused. Now, when I left jail, I was 5 pounds lighter than when I went in, which is crazy. Right? You don't usually leave jail lighter than when you went in because you eat a lot of garbage in there. Now, I was locked up during the pandemic. I went to jail in 2019. I was released in June 2020. Pandemic started March 2020. Anybody locked up during the pandemic? Horrible, right? Horrible. Terrifying. Okay? People in California were dying in there. But when you're on your way out, and I'm sure most of you have done this, you might have a manila envelope or some scrap paper, but you write a list of things you got to do when you get out, right? So I get out. That's the first picture I sent my wife when I got my property back, outside San Bernardino County Jail. And I don't know if you can see over here, but the first thing I had to do was get a COVID test, because it was COVID. They didn't test us in jail. I didn't know what I had. I mean, we didn't know anything about COVID. But the second thing on that list is very important. And I think it's the main reason God plucked me from here, sent me there, so that one day I was sitting in the data room, reading the newspaper, and I see an article about former Governor Jim McGreevey, who you've already met, and Michael K. Williams, who's the actor from The Wire. He passed away. There's a mural of him in our Newark building. They were doing a documentary together, and it was being run by this nonprofit, New Jersey Reentry Corporation, that helps folks who've been locked up. I looked at that, and I'm like, how am I reading this in San Bernardino about New Jersey? I didn't even know who McGreevey was at the time, right? So I'm like, all right, I get it. I need to get out of here. I need to find there because I need them, but I kind of feel like they need me. So the second thing on my list, if you can see it, says New Jersey Reentry Corporation, find Jim McGreevey. And that's what I did, and I've been here for about 5 years. Now, let's start to talk about expungement a little more specifically, because we all are here because at some point we tried to do something, get a job usually, and our record jacked it up, right? Now, I talk to employers about this issue, and I try to gauge why exactly employers have this allergy to people that have a record. Because in my mind, if you have a record and you get a job, that's going to cause loyalty, right? You really don't want to lose that job because you know what's on the other side of that. But for employers, it's cold hard math. They kind of feel like if you have a record, if you show up, you're going to offend against the company. We know that's not going to happen. We know. Because we know if we offend against a company, we commit a felony, what's going to happen? We're going to go back to jail. We don't want that. For me, jail is just a string of horrible memories. Like, raise your hand if anybody had one of these happen to you. I call it the naked and afraid. So when I processed into LA County Jail, after you get sentenced, you get sent to Supermax, and you get ushered into a big room. There's a lot of other sweaty dudes in there. We're all kind of nervous, anxious. And you stand around a lot of tables like this, and the CEO says, take off all your clothes, put it on the table. So you strip naked, and then another CEO comes up behind you and says, bend over, pull your butt cheeks apart, and cough. And they shine a flashlight up in there to make sure that you haven't keistered any drugs, right? I don't know if that happened to you. I don't know if you experienced anything quite like that, but I think it was one of the most humiliating things I've ever endured. It was terrible. And it may have only lasted 5 or 10 seconds, but it seemed like it took forever. So when I go do presentations for employers, I tell them stories like that. I tell them stories about race politics, right? In LA County Jail, your whole social life is dictated by your race, which for me is obviously a little bit hilarious, right? Like I walk in and the whites tried to claim me. They're like, hey, come here, bro, you know, whatever. But then one of the brothers says, hey, let me see your wristband. I showed it to him. It says Damon Watson. I said, yeah. He said, sounds like a black name. I'm like, yeah. He said, you mixed? Yes. He's like, what do you, maybe Creole something? I said, yeah. And he goes, he's with us. That was it. That's race politics. But race politics are also rules. Each race has them. The Hispanics have theirs, whites have theirs, or the Peckerwoods, that's what they call themselves. Blacks have theirs. And if you violate them, you might get beat up. And I saw that happen a lot. So I go to the employers, I'm like, you think we want to go back to that nonsense? Are you crazy? You think I want to have somebody shine a light up there? Or you think I want to get beat up because somebody of another race gave me food or tried to talk to me? No. No. If you hire someone with a record, they're going to be the best employee ever. They might win a Nonprofit Professional of the Year award, or they might be Employee of the Month, or any of this cool stuff that I was lucky enough to have happen for me. And you all feel that, don't you? That if somebody hires you, you're going to grab onto that job with both hands. So let's talk about how we're going to try to get you from having a record to having no record. And for me, I've done all this talking about my record, which is still 2/3 there. Because let me tell you how it works in California. In California, you have to apply in every superior court in which you were convicted of a felony. For me, there are 3. One in LA County Courthouse. One also in LA County, but it's in the Valley, Pasadena, Burbank, Glendale area courthouse, and San Bernardino County. Last year, in about September, my lawyers, who we've had to pay a lot of money, y'all aren't going to have to pay anything. That's one of the great things about New Jersey. Called me and says, hey, the judge is ready to grant your expungement, but the whole fire camp exception thing, I was in fire camp. Why have to keep doing that? All right, I don't know why I was doing that, but let's do this. So, okay. I'm going to dispense with the slides in a minute if it does this again, but
I think it's trying to tell you to fast forward.
nah, it's, you know what it is, it's,
It's trying to show us what type of music you listen to.
yeah, I know. This will just take a second. So, well, you know what? You already saw the message. It said that my expungement was granted, which it was, for that one court. And that was great. But the problem was, I had to go through a bunch of nonsense to get there. The nonsense was, in California, Gavin Newsom signed a bill that said if you were serving in fire camp, which I did, then you can get an expedited expungement for the crimes that preceded the fire camp service. However, the court sends a form to the fire camp central organization saying, all right, can you confirm they were there? And one of those slides that it kept showing up for some reason basically said, all right, he was in fire camp, but he did not serve on a fire crew. I'm like, what? I mean, you saw the picture, right? Before the computer crapped out. Like, I literally was on a fire crew, hiking around in the woods, chopping up line, fighting fires. I did the whole thing. But for some reason, there was a technical glitch or some CEO just didn't find my record. Even though I called the fire camp where I served, he says, yeah, I'm looking right now. I'm like, can you sign the thing? He's like, no, it's got to come from Central. So there was a lot of nonsense I had to deal with, right? But I told my lawyer, I said, look, dude, just take the fire camp thing out of it. You got plenty of good cause, right? I've done all of these things in my life. I work at New Jersey Reentry Corporation. I help people accomplish what you're trying to accomplish for me right now. Can you just get back in there? Because in a month, I got to do a TED Talk. And I really want to be able to drop an expungement bomb. And so he did. And then he sent me that email. So I'm 1/3 good. Now, I just signed my declarations for the other two. So hopefully in the next month or two, I'll be totally clean in time for me to go to Spain so I can compete in the World Championships. Now, for y'all, it's a lot easier. Here's how expungement works in New Jersey. What we do for our participants, because as you know, I'm a lawyer and there's a couple other lawyers on the team, but I have a record. Like, I don't have a license. The only lawyer at our company with a license is our chief legal officer. You met her, but she doesn't do this stuff. We do this stuff. So we do a pro se application. Know what pro se means, some of y'all? Pro se just means on your own behalf, right? As if you were filing it. So we sit down with you, we open up an application in your name, but we have to check for eligibility. I know that this is what a lot of you are most concerned about. The first thing we look at is how many felonies you have. If you have one felony, that triggers a 5-year waiting period. 5 years starts from when you max out, finish probation, or finish parole. That's it. The second thing we look for, if you only have one, is whether that one is non-expungible. Now, in the materials that we all gave you in the handout, there's a list of non-expungibles. Robbery's on there, arson's on there, murder's on there, first and second degree CDS, controlled ignorant substance, is on there, but third or fourth, we can handle that. If you have a non-expungible and it's the only thing you have, we need to try to find you a way to get clemency or a pardon. And generally, we go to the public defender's office for that. They have a whole unit that does that. And that's just if you have one felony. If you have multiple felonies, so 2 or more, it's a 10-year waiting period from the same thing, from max out, probation, parole. We also do the non-expungible check, but I've been advised by Legal Services of New Jersey and the public defender that if you have a non-expungible, we should try, but just pull it out of the order and try to get everything else. Let the prosecutor object, let the prosecutor meet their burden. So that's what we've been doing. So if we're sitting with you and you have a bunch of, like assault and, like identity theft, whatever, things that are not non-expungible, but then there's like a robbery, we're going to file. We're just going to pull the robbery out. But I'm telling you now, the prosecutor's probably going to object. When the prosecutor objects, the public defender will pick up the case, and they have a whole unit that I've worked with a lot of them. They're excellent, right? They carry a lot of these into the end zone, a ton. So they will pick up the case, they'll deal with the objection, but that objection's going to come. So if we get it filed, but you had one of those, just know it's going to be a little bit longer. But if you have a simple one, remember I said if it's complicated, that's one of the complicating factors. But if it's not complicated, like if you just have one felony and it's something basic, something that's not non-expungible, or if you have multiple felonies and you met the waiting period and all that stuff, we'll file. It's going to get filed in Hudson County because that's where we are right now. And Hudson County is pretty good about their waiting periods for giving you a hearing. They'll send a hearing automatically. The system will send us an email that will send a hearing for 60 days out. So at 60 days, either the prosecutor will have already reviewed it, and they may or may not have an objection. If the prosecutor sends in a notice that they don't object, which happens a lot, and the judge may just sign the expungement and you'll never have to show up for a hearing. So please, at some point while you're waiting, so that's really all I've got. Does anybody have any quick questions that I might be able to answer? Yeah.
Okay, so how long would it take for the expungement to be 100% completed?
Okay, I'm glad you asked that. I don't have an answer exactly for that, but I can tell you a couple things. One, it used to be a really long time. A few years ago, it used to take 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. They got really congested. Since then, there have been some lawsuits that alleged that the expungement process was just moving too slow. So things have sped up. I've seen them get cleared in 3 months, 6 months. sometimes like 9, depending. But they have a portal now that once you get your proposed order, or once you get your signed order from the judge, you log into that portal, you create an account, and then it'll track your expungement. So you just keep logging in, and it'll give you little status updates. And I've helped people do that, log into the portal. So the short answer to your question is I don't really know, but the educated guess question is 3 to 9 months if things are going smoothly.
One last question.
Yes.
How long would you say it take for somebody who has no felonies to get an expungement?
Well, it depends. So if it's just municipal court ordinances, I think you need to wait to get it fully cleared or to file it.
It's a both.
Okay, so if you only have municipal court stuff, and no disorderly persons, which are misdemeanors, and no felonies or indictables, it's 2 years from the ordinance violation. So you just have to wait 2 years. But if you have no felonies, but you have disorderly persons,
I do.
it's 4 to 5 years. There's a chart in there at the end of the materials. You can take a look at it, but it's 4 to 5 years, depending on the circumstances. I usually just say 5 years because almost always it's 5 years, but just take a look. Sure thing.
5 years for what?
From when you finish probation, finish parole, or maxed out, yeah. So to wait to file. Has everybody got that? Everyone clear on that? Any other questions before I call it a wrap and we start calling people? That's nothing. We're gonna call you 2 or 3 at a time. We have a list of everybody that came. We're gonna go in the order you got here. So, yes. If you still have restitution, what happens? Well, here, let's see if this answers your question. So if we file your expungement and there are unpaid restitution associated with any of the cases, or unpaid fines, unpaid probation fines, it doesn't matter what it is. But if that stuff's in the system, at the end of the process, it'll show us that. And what we do is we check a box that says, please transfer this amount to a judgment that will then go to the New Jersey State Treasurer's Office. So they will technically have a civil judgment against you for money, but all that means is they pulled the financial obligation off of the crime so that the expungement could go through, but you'll get a bill from the New Jersey State Treasurer to pay that, and they'll have a monthly plan and everything. Did that answer your question, or do you have a different question? You have a joint restitution with somebody else? So all of you, but didn't the judge parse it up, or did they? Well, I don't know the answer. I do know that if you owe money, somewhere along the way, someone's going to figure out what part is yours. But I would maybe talk to a lawyer about that. Like if we get your expungement and go through, we can point you to a lawyer that can maybe answer that question better. Fair enough? Okay.
I don't think you never guess why I'm here.
Why are you?
But narrow it down. I don't have a criminal record.
Okay.
Never had to. It's a 1998 license revoked from North Carolina. I don't even know if you can help me or not, but I'm here to find out.
So for North Carolina, first of all, our funding lets us deal with stuff that's in New Jersey. When stuff is outside of New Jersey, what my team does is we try to find legal aid in the state where you were that can maybe help with that. So we could do that. If you want to hang out, we'll because we have computers and internet, we'll search, we'll try to find you some referral information that maybe you can call and figure that out. However, do you know if it's suspending you here? Are you aware or not?
My license is clean.
It is here. Okay. You just want to deal with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to get my CDL.
And so that comes up in the CDL. So, okay, I got it. So, all right. Then just, wait your turn and then come and talk to us and one of us will look it up.
Okay.
All right. Thanks. Any other questions? I'm gonna call it. We have lunch out there too. So, yeah, that's it. We're good. No? All right. Thank you. I'll see you guys in there. Okay.